something that's way back in the file cabinet. I don't offhand. Let me find out. Some part of me wants to say somewhere around 80, but I don't know why that number's in my head. But out for you, and I'll let you guys know this afternoon. But I can't remember offhand, if I'm honest with you. It would be a complete thumbsuck. I don't know why, like, something 80 kind of comes into my mind. Could be completely wrong. But you know, the thing with weighing of cats as well is it's a tricky one, because how well fed is that animal? If we've got cats that are eating 12% of their body weight, so let's say in Tavangumi's case, he's going to eat, let's say, 10 kilograms, 12 kilograms, so that takes him from 63 to 73. It's a big difference. So how well fed is the animal? You know, what is its kind of age? Weighing of cats is always a tricky one, but I can't actually remember what Mvula weighed. Mvula was a much stockier animal than Tavangumi. Tavangumi is quite sleek and quite long, and he looked really impressive, but I think it was because he had these most piercing eyes that kind of just bore into your soul, and he kind of gave you that impression of being quite large. But actually, when you're up close with him, and you know, obviously he was in a compromised state, but his condition otherwise was really good. Like, he hadn't lost any muscle tone on his legs or his chest area or around his head. Obviously there was the damage from the snare itself, but all of that muscle was still there. So, you know, once we were up close with him, I actually realized that he wasn't as big as I initially thought, because I also was on the camper before we ever saw him kind of up close. I thought he weighed a little bit more than he did, but it just goes to show, you know, weights are so subjective, and it can be angle, it can be, like I say, how much have they fed on. Those can all change the dynamic and kind of what we perceive an animal to weigh. But yeah, I think it's still fascinating, and that whole process with Tavangumi was incredibly fascinating. I mean, that's obviously a really sad situation, and not something I really want to talk about too much, because it is what it is. But it was fascinating to be a part of that whole procedure and to see how the vets did things. You know, the three vets that were involved in that, not only was them, but they consulted with a whole number of other vets all across the world that were specialist surgeons in their own field, and it was really interesting to see how they went about it and how the whole process worked. And you know, I mean, as sad as it all is, you know, everyone that was involved in that, and I mean, I was just lucky enough to go and witness what was going on, or unlucky enough. But it was a fascinating insight, and they all tried their absolute best to do the best that they could for that animal. You know, a lot of people have said a lot of things and have questioned certain decisions that were made, which I think is very unfair, because I can assure you that being part of that whole process, there was a lot of deliberation and a lot of thought that went into all of the things that happened. And it's very unfair to sit on the outside and have a go at people when you aren't there and you don't know what went on. There's, you know, a lot of things that can be done in hindsight, and you must understand that in a case like this, there is really nobody that has a manual for this. A wound of that severity is not kind of in any manual where you can just be like, okay, well, we'll just consult that and just see what it says in order to figure out what's going on. So I just want to check here. It looks like there's a female leopard track here going down this game path. There's a female leopard that's walked this game path. I want to just quickly check how fresh it is. It's not an easy track to see, and I'm parked too close. But in the meantime, let's send you across to James.